Hello everyone, today I'll be explaining the cast class exception in my exception playlist, and let's go through what class exception is. It's an unchecked exception, which means it occurs at runtime, but few latest IDs give a warning that this casting is not correct. It might throw class exception, just like latest ID. Like say for example, I'm using latest IntelliJ, and here you can see the string is highlighted because the ID is highlighting that this could be a wrong code. Like it might throw the class exception. So when it happens is basically when you try to downcast an object to a subclass it doesn't belong to. Say for example, we have a class called animal, and then we have a class called dog, which uh, which is like say for example, we have a class called animal and we have a class called dog, and we have created an object of animal, and now we are trying to cast it to a dog object. So in that case it will definitely give a class exception because those two are not related to anything. Those two are not related objects, hence it will throw the class exception. Something similar to what happened to this what happened with this example. Like we are trying to cast it to a string which is actually an integer. So this is a simple example of how it how to replicate that. So here we have an object with obj equals to 100. So once the value is assigned, the object is internally treated as an integer object, and then when we are trying to cast it to a string, it is throwing an where is that class cast exception. So it says integer cannot be cast to string and whatever at this line. So this is a simple example of what class cast exception is. Like when we are trying to cast an object to a different object, not the same object. Say for example, if instead of string we would have added integer, then that would have been a different story, but here it's string which is not related to an integer. So in this case it will give an class cast exception. So now let's go to some other example where we can understand it realistically. So we have a production code example, production like scenario. Here we have a class which says animal, have a method called make sound, and then we have a class called dog which extends animal, cat extends animal. So here we have a list of animals. Okay, this is a happy path. So let's see the exception part. So here I have created an object of an animal. So here animal itself is not a particular animal, it's just a general category. So now what we are doing is that we are casting in the next line, we are casting this unknown animal to a dog. That is not the case. So hence it will throw a cast exception. So this is what I was trying to say, that the animal is a different class and dog is a different class, so independent of each other. So when we are trying to cast it cast the animal to a dog, it will throw a class exception. So the best way to handle this is, say for example, we have a list of animals and we have dog and cat in it. So if I iterate over it, and then we'll check whether this animal is an instance of dog or if this animal is an instance of cat. If none of them is there, so this object, if say for example this is something else, which is say for example animal itself or maybe some random object, then in that case this is not the required use case which we want. So in that case we will treat all of them as an invalid case or any some case which is not required. So this is how this should be achieved. Here we have a concept of object dot class name or something, so it will give the entire class name with the package. So with that also at times we can figure out which object it is, which class it is, and then based on that we can make our decisions. So now coming to the, so here you can see this example through this exception, class cast exception caught, and it says animal cannot be converted to dog because, well, some details are there, but that may not be related to this right now. So it says that we got the class exception. So the valid approach would be for this case is, say for example we have a dog object inside animal, then we can cast it to a dog object, which I was saying, but not this, but not the other way around. Okay. So now how to handle this? The first one would be, as I said, we can use instance of, or we can use object.class name, and the second would be ensure generics, like use of generics. It helps us in reducing, it helps us in reducing all those overheads related to cast exception, or the dependency, like which class, which object should it use in that main class. So all these overheads are checked at compile time, so we don't need to bother at runtime what happens, as it will be taken care at compile time. So also be cautious with typecasting, especially when dealing with collections. So collection example, I've shown how to deal with that. And then coming to third-party libraries. So what happens is that, say for example, you are creating an integration between your application and a third-party application. So in that case, there are two cases. One, either you need to do an HTTP call, or you'll have a SDK for that client, and you'll implement the classes and use the objects of the integration. So in case of HTTP call, you can like there is no need to worry about the exceptions and all that. But when it comes to SDKs, you can go through the document and see how the classes are related. In that way you can do your code, so that it will be easier for you to understand the relation, and what should I say, and prevent these exceptions and unusual cases. Okay. So thanks everyone. So I hope you will be able to understand how class exception occurs and how to prevent that. Thank you.